do want to close with a couple March Madness questions for you guys. We're a little less or a little more than a week away from opening tip, one of the best times of year. I want to know, first, most overrated teams in the tournament, guys that our listeners should stay away from.
Yeah, so I have three that I like for this. The first is Purdue. We went to Northwestern. I'm a big Big Ten basketball fan. Was kind of on the Northwestern train a bit early this year, and it's not that they're very good, but it's that the Big Ten just kind of sucks. So I think Purdue is like the number one team that I'm going to stay away from. Zach Edey can obviously cause issues because he is a very large human with very small humans, and they scheme to get him on little guards a lot. But the most important thing for me in backing a tourney team is an experienced backcourt. And they have two freshmen, and one thing I've noticed with them is they really struggle anytime they step up in class against a decent defense. And I just think the Big Ten is kind of overrated. So I'm staying away from Purdue completely. I don't think they're going to get upset, but I do not see them winning or really making it that far. The second one I have is Kansas. I think they're extremely athletic, have a ton of talent, a very good coach, but repeating is really tough. If you look at their run last year, they had a pretty easy bracket, their side of the bracket. I wouldn't necessarily bet against them, but they're a team I'm staying away from. And the last one, which I didn't even think would make this list, is Gonzaga. They started the season very poorly, and they're playing really well as of late. But I think their odds at, plus 2,000 on FanDuel right now are just way too short. Again, not a team that I'm necessarily looking to fade, but I'm staying clear of all three of those teams when it comes to betting, when it comes to putting them, making the Final Four or the finals in my bracket.
Love that. Those are fantastic. Could not agree with Purdue more. Definite stay away from me.
One thing I worry about with Purdue is that's a pretty popular take that they're overrated, and I'm a little bit worried that it could become such a popular fade that they actually they make a great run. There's great prices on them throughout.
That's very true. For everybody listening, if you're scanning through gambling Twitter and you see one game from 40 different handicappers, take the other side. Sounds like a similar situation here.
Yeah.
Everybody auto-fading Purdue. Let's talk sleepers. Any sleepers that come to mind right off the bat?
Yeah, so my betting style is pretty contrarian. I'm always looking for underdogs and teams that are undervalued in the market. And the first one I have this year is Charleston. Again, the most important thing for me when I'm looking at a tourney team is experienced guard play. Second is rebounding. And the third is three-point shooting. Those are three things that Charleston do exceptionally well. When they're on, they're really on. I'm a huge fan of their coach, Pat Kelsey. And I think, in the right matchup, they can cause a lot of issues. And again, when they're on, they're on. All it takes is one good game in a one-game series. And I can see them making a run. I think they're projected as a 12 seed. They're a team that I'm probably just going to bet blindly. The second is Kent State. I think they could look good because they play in the MAC, which is a very bad conference. But I watched a couple of their games earlier this year versus Houston and Gonzaga, who, Houston is the favorite to win the tournament. They lost by single digits in both of those games, kept it really close throughout, which is mostly due to their defense. Their offense is really bad, but their defense is good enough to keep them in games. And if they catch a team on a poor shooting night and they have, positive regression on their shooting in that game, I think they could upset some teams. I have four of these. The third one is Iona. Really two words to explain this one. Rick Pitino.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. This team is legit. Their strength of schedule is a bit concerning, but they are really good. I think, I think they could beat any team in the country. And we saw St. Peter's last year make a really deep run out of this conference. And I just kind of think, there could be some upsets there. The last one isn't like a long shot sleeper like the others, but it's a team that's in the same odds range as Creighton, Xavier, Kentucky, Duke, and that's St. Mary's, California. Mm-hmm. This is a team that for 3, 4, 5 years I've been backing. And it is a team that I will take to win outright and make a deep run. Really excited for their game versus Gonzaga tonight. We had their first half -3.5 as a free play last night on Twitter, and they won by 17 in the first half and ended up pushing on the full game spread at -7. So it always feels great when you take a first half and then the second half doesn't work out very well. But this team, extremely well coached. They play really good defense, and they have a ton of experience on the roster. That's always what I'm looking for, especially with point guards. And the other thing that's really interesting with them is they travel really well. So one of the reasons why I really liked them last night is I had some info that the tickets at the stadium in Vegas were about 75% St. Mary's versus BYU. And that's something in college that is really important, is kind of the home crowd.
Well said. Down the line, clutch free throws ahead, and you have 75% of the stadium screaming on your behalf. That can be completely overwhelming. So I really like that thought there. 2 more for you guys. Most memorable tournament moments. Is there anything that stands out historically in all your years of following March Madness?
So there's one big one for me. Northwestern made so interesting. We both went to Northwestern. I'm a big fan of their sports teams. They're never very good, but Northwestern actually hosted the first March Madness tournament ever. But they had never made the tournament up until I think 2018. And I'll never forget, I was in Phoenix watching at a bar with a ton of Gonzaga fans, and Zach Collins had a goaltend that prevented what would have been a game-winning shot. They didn't review it. They did nothing. So for me, that's the number one thing I remember. I hate Zach Collins because of that. I'll never forget that. A second one for me is the Villanova, North Carolina ending in 2016. I think that clip gets circulated every year now in March where, UNC hits a 3 to go up 2, and then Nova comes right back and hits a 3. That whole game was fantastic. And then kind of the last one for me is Jimmer Fredette and Steph Curry. I'll never forget watching those games and these guys just kind of coming to the spotlight for shooting these deep threes, and just kind of, how the social media world was really young at that age, but was just kind of going crazy over these guys. And obviously it panned out for one of them in the NBA.
Yeah, one not the other. Who knows where Jimmer is in the world these days? Last I
think
checked,
he's playing in China.
Playing in China still.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, that's everything that I wanted to cover. I just want to thank you guys for being so generous with your time. I know you got games to handicap and profit to be had, but everybody listening, I strongly urge you, go follow them on Twitter at Devin's Bookie on Twitter. Get in their Dub Club. Join this insanely amazing community that they're building in Discord. It's growing by the day, and you guys are really doing amazing work for really everybody in the gambling industry. So as a thank you for helping put money in my pocket over the course of the last year or so that I've been tailing, you guys are the best. So thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate having you on, and everybody go check them out.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was awesome talking with you, and look forward to seeing what the future holds.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This was really fun. It was nice to, share our story with everyone, and we hope you guys, learn something.